Well, it is 9 p.m. here in Accra, Ghana. Good evening and welcome to State of Affairs. Ghana's housing puzzle is one that keeps shifting even as we try to solve it. So every year, the demand for decent, affordable homes climbs higher, while the supply seems to tiptoe in the opposite direction. For many families, the dream of owning a home feels like chasing a moving target. The prices move, the land moves, sometimes even the pillars move. But then the people stay right where they are, searching, hoping, stretching their budgets and their patience. So from the bustle of Accra to the growing edges of our regional capitals, the signs are everywhere. Overcrowded compounds, long commutes from far-flung and planned communities, and rental costs that can make you wonder if your landlord fears the Lord. Well, it's clear that Ghana's housing deficit isn't just a number buried in a report. It's a living, breathing challenge that follows people home, quite literally. Well, tonight, we are putting the spotlight on the one state agency that's supposed to help turn this brick-by-brick challenge into livable communities and affordable homes, the State Housing Company Limited. We dig deeper, not just into the deficits, but into the possibilities. And we are asking the blueprints, the boldness, and yes, the big dreams, hoping to discover whether state housing can help turn Ghana's housing headache into a story with a more comfortable ending. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah, and tonight I sit with the Managing Director of the State Housing Company Limited, John Sharif Bawah, a man with over 15 years experience in residential and commercial property development. This is State of Affairs, and let's begin the conversation. All right, and so, like I said earlier, sitting tonight with the MD for State Housing Company Limited, John Bawah. John, welcome.
Hi, how are you, Joshua?
I'm okay. I hope you're doing well.
Doing very well. Incidentally, my youngest son is Joshua as well. So.
Oh, fantastic. So this is a father-son affair.
Yeah, there you go. I'm not that old, though.
But ultimately, the spotlight will be on state housing. And like I said also in my introduction, we're not just looking at the problems. Yeah. We're looking at the way forward, how and what state housing is doing under your leadership. It's been, since March, I believe, till now. Quite a number of months, not a year yet. But then, how has the journey been for you?
I would say it's been interesting. It's been very eye-opening. My impression going into the job was that there wasn't a lot going on at State Housing. I think it's a feeling that a lot of people in Ghana have. But going into the job earlier than you said, I went in February.
Okay.
I very quickly understood the level of potential that existed within the organization and what good could be done stemming from the organization. So I have a very positive outlook on what we could do to contribute our small quota to the housing conversation in Ghana.
I'm sure when you received the call to say, John, I want you to go to State Housing and see how you can bring your experience to bear, you had expectations of what might have ensued, what you are going to meet. Is there a difference between your expectation and what you actually saw when you went into the office?
I would say on certain topics. For example, on the actual housing delivery topic, I mean, I was pretty familiar about what was going on in State Housing. What I wasn't prepared to see was the level of enthusiasm and love for the business and the company that I met with the staff there. I mean, these are very well-grounded people who love what they do and love the company and want to see it succeed. I think that was probably one of the nicest surprises that I got going into the job. Yeah.
So that was a nice surprise.
Absolutely.
Well, why was it a surprise, by the way?
Well, you hear all sorts of stories about, government workers and public sector workers. So I was kind of expecting a very difficult environment where everybody is looking at, this guy is going to be here for 4 years and he's out. But, I was pleasantly surprised.
And what would you say what was the biggest challenge that you met, and how did that inform how you now decide to steer the affairs of the company?
I think one of the biggest topics that I encountered, which I felt could be improved, would be the pace of the work. You know, being a government-owned agency, there are so many levels of bureaucracy that you have to go through. And being a company that works in a very private sector dominated environment, it was very clear that if we didn't find, you know, ingenious ways of improving our service delivery, we would lose out on the market. And that was not something we were prepared to live by. Being, you know, a company that calls itself the nation's #1 builder, we need to be first to the, you know, to the goal.
Right.
And so that was probably one of the challenges that informed how I wanted to approach the job in terms of improving our agility in the marketplace, being quicker to make decisions, being quicker to provide services, being quicker to answer to customer concerns and requests and things like that, yes.
Well, it's quite interesting you talk about that, because now I'm very curious about your vision as MD for State Housing. Knowing exactly that, well, it's a government agency, we know what has been said in the public domain about how these agencies run. But then with you moving into the space, what's the vision?
The vision is to live up to the mandate that was given to State Housing when it was first created, which is vision-wise to be the #1 nation's builder. Our mission has always been to provide decent, affordable, sustainable housing solution to the majority of Ghanaians in communities that give them a sense of pride and place. It really resonated with me when I got into the organization, because I felt that the mission of the company couldn't be simpler put. In that, what do? We provide housing solutions for Ghanaians. I mean, keep it simple and sweet, the KISS principle. And so I identified very strongly with that. And I didn't want to change that vision. What I wanted to change was how we live that vision, how we live that mission, and how we make ourselves more responsive to the needs of Ghanaians, how we find innovative ways of providing more affordable housing, affordable in quotes. I'm sure we'll get to that at some point. and so I think that shaped how I wanted to approach. Fortunately, I was blessed with a very forward-thinking board. Both our board chairman and board members are very, very business, entrepreneurial-minded people. And so they're able to see and share in our vision to be a very responsive, you know, very well-structured, organized company that can deliver on what we've promised Ghanaians. And I think, for me, that's the way forward.
I know it's early days yet, but then how is that mandate actually picking up? Providing quality, decent household to the majority of Ghanaians. That's the mandate.
Yes.
Is State Housing able to live to that mandate?
I believe with the right direction we can. I think a lot of good things were done in the past. And since I've been in the job, we've picked up on a lot of them. One of the key things that we needed to resolve very quickly was our pricing structure and model. Before I came in, it was not a very well-structured compared to other players in the industry. And so very quickly, we had to standardize our pricing build-up, so that, you know, right from the cost of construction to selling price, there has to be a clear model. We had a situation where customers committed to a property at one point without knowing how much they were going to end up paying by the time the property was ready. This is completely unacceptable in real estate. Anybody who commits to a house today needs to know that by the time you're done with the house, this is exactly how much I'm going to pay. And it was just a matter of proper planning, you know, proper organization on our side to be sure that when we go into a project, we've done the right feasibility, we've done the right price elasticity checks in the areas that we're developing those properties. So that when we set a price, it's a price we can stand by, whether today or in 2 years' time when the buildings are being handed over. So that was one major thing that we had to resolve very quickly.
Right.
Yes. Another major thing that we had to work on very quickly was, as you know, another aspect of our business is actually land administration of, government acquired land. And we had a number of very big head leases that were outstanding, which threatened, the security of tenancy for a lot of our homeowners in the older estates like Teshinungwa, Kaneshi, North Laboni, and a few other areas. So that was one thing that I realized had to be done very quickly. The worst thing you can have is somebody who lives in their house and is worried that in 2 years they don't know who their landlord is going to be. So that was another challenge that we needed to act on very quickly. The last, but probably the most important, was that one of the biggest challenges to the housing question in Ghana is access. Access in terms of financing properties. And you have properties available, you have people that want to buy, but you don't have the bridge to actually get them across that hump. So one of the very first things, with the support of my honorable minister, was to create something that State Housing had never had. I created a mortgage desk. So we had a mortgage specialist in place who started working to bring financing and consumers together. And that's something that I feel is one of the game changers in Ghana's housing story.
A mortgage desk?
Yes, to provide support and advice to people that want to access financing to help them purchase homes from us. Yes.
Quite innovative. But then, like you mentioned earlier, the space is dominated by private developers. And so what are you doing as State Housing to be able to break into that market and remain competitive like the private developers? Because you mentioned it's capital intensive.
Right.
And these private developers come with really deep pockets to invest in that. So how are you positioning State Housing to also be competitive and profitable in that space?
Well, I'll start with context. Today, we have estimates of between 1.8 million and 2 million housing deficit. There's a big enough market for everybody. I believe that there's a space for the private sector to operate effectively. And for us as a state-owned agency, I believe personally, and I believe that the people that put me in the job share the same feeling, is that as a state-owned agency, our job is to look out for the little guy. The guy who cannot afford the $80,000, $120,000, $150,000 affordable housing products currently in the market. If you put all of our developers together today, probably 90-95% of what they are delivering is not accessible by the average Ghanaian if you look at our average income levels. And so I believe strongly that where our role is to help bridge that gap for the masses of people who can't afford what is available on the market. That is not to say there is not a place for the private developers. I believe that they play a very critical role. And one of the things we have rolled out at State Housing is kind of a two-pronged approach. We have our core mandate, which is to provide truly affordable housing, which we are working on aggressively. But we are opening ourselves up for collaboration with the private sector to bring that big money that you spoke about into the conversation, where State Housing is sitting on very prime lands in good areas with very horizontally developed properties that take up a lot of space, and you can't achieve the adequate density in those areas. So what we are doing is we are inviting the private sector to partner with us on those type of projects. So we have a couple of projects in the pipeline we've almost concluded. By next year, you start seeing, oh, this is an SHC and XYZ collaboration, which would deliver housing on a more dense scale, more vertical type buildings in more prime areas. But once you go vertical and you increase the density, you're able to reduce the overall costing to make it more affordable to majority of the working class. And what we hope to do is to unlock the value in that prime land and invest that in the more truly affordable housing projects that we have more in the suburbs and the outskirts of the city for those that, you know, have a little less in their pockets.
So this is something you're looking at doing, or you've already started?
Oh, we've started. Okay. I mean, I like to operate a bit in silence till, you know, the result is on the table. So but this is something that we started very quickly. We have a couple of things that are already firmed up with the support of the board, and we've started all the preliminary works on them. So you will start to see quite extensive, very clear distinction between our core product and what I like to call SHC Prime. It's not official yet, but so this is the first time anybody's going to hear
that. Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of the approach that we're using. So we have a combination of both, because I believe that there's a place for each aspect of the players in the industry.
So talking about the core mandate, which has to do with the majority of Ghanaians and providing affordable housing for them, where are we with that?
The last 5-6 years have been challenging for the real estate development industry, mainly because a large percentage of our inputs are imported. And because of the struggles of the currency, generally cost of construction shot up over the last few years. It's something that nobody can run away from. So if you ask me where we are, we've come from a very challenging place. Thankfully, due to the steering of His Excellency the President and our Honorable Finance Minister, things are looking very positive. I mean, we've had a very stable exchange rate, which has a direct impact on how we're able to develop projects, how we're able to price our projects, and still remain profitable. Because keep in mind, State Housing Company is a commercial entity, probably one of 5 government-owned enterprises that are profitable. And we want to maintain that record. We don't want to mess it up. And so if you ask me where we are, I think we're in a good place. There's a firm foundation that has been set up, and we are looking to take advantage of that to build more houses, whether with our own internally generated funds or with private capital, to be able to increase, first of all, the housing stock, while also developing more innovative construction methods. I mean, it's something I'm very, very passionate about. I do remember my conversation with His Excellency the President when he was still in opposition. And our key message was, how do we crack that single family home or 2-bedroom apartment at under 400,000 cedis? And it is something that I go to sleep thinking about, I wake up thinking about, because I truly believe if you look at our income levels as a country, being able to crack that ceiling opens up, the potential for increasing the ratio of home ownership in the country. And I'm definitely looking at options to be able to deliver something like that. It won't be for everybody.
Right.
With real estate, affordability is very relative to the location and to your capabilities. And the ministry itself, for example, we are just about to take part in the pilot of the district housing scheme, which is a project under the Ministry of Works and Housing. And it's one that's very important to the Honorable Minister. Basically, this pilot will prove the concept that we can actually deliver social or truly affordable houses at a district level. And once that concept is executed, we will be able to scale up. And I know that you heard the big push announcement. Housing is a major component of that. And so we are hoping to prove the concept to the big push agenda so that more money can be pushed into it, so we can increase the housing stock at accessible prices for Ghanaians.
So a couple of things I've heard is that, yes, there are a lot of housing units that are put up, but because of the cost involved, they are sitting empty, and people are not able to afford them. Does that happen with state housing?
Not really, no. I would say not since I've been there, because we're trying to maintain a very aggressive pricing approach, and also to ensure that we come in a certain discount to the general market, because, again, it's all about being accessible and affordable to the majority of Ghanaians. So I wouldn't say we have a bunch of empty houses sitting. What I did inherit was a number of projects that were hanging.
Okay.
And we've been focused on trying to finish them as quickly as possible. I share His Excellency the President's view that doesn't matter which party started it, it's Ghana's money. And so you can't leave it locked into projects sitting down and you're not able to sell to unlock. So with the support of my board, we've been able to come up with some very aggressive arrangements around our pricing to make sure that we unlock that capital so that we can put it into more viable, more affordable type projects and produce more houses for majority of people. Yes.
Well, I know very well that you also do have quite a number of questions, and so let's get interactive on social media as well. I have the Managing Director of State Housing Company Limited in studio with me, John Bawah. We're talking about State Housing. They also have a couple of initiatives that they've rolled out that we'll be talking about, but right after this break. So still having a conversation tonight with the Managing Director of State Housing Company Limited. We're looking at Ghana's housing puzzle and the role that state housing is also playing. And I'm sure a couple of you are excited about the fact that there is that focus on the low earners, so that you don't have to see the billboards in time and be scared when you are told, oh, housing units starting from as low as $150,000 and you're wondering how many years you have to work to be able to get there as low as $150,000. And that's why we're having this conversation with State Housing Company Limited, getting to understand exactly what the models are and how they are also hoping to help reduce that housing deficit gap between 1.8 to 2 million. That's no joke. And you and I feel it. Some of us live very far, not because we love to drive for 2 hours to get to the office, but sometimes it's because of how much you have to pay to stay close to office. And so we are looking also at a drive that the State Housing Company has initiated, the Revenue Mobilization Drive. And I'd like to understand more from the MD, what really triggered this particular drive?
Well, Joshua, thank you. I think there are a couple of factors around why we're doing this. To give you a bit more context, in home ownership, you have various types of ownership of property. So, for example, in Ghana, you have freehold, which is not very popular these days, or which is also called fee simple in certain parts of the world. And then you have leasehold.
Yeah.
Now, as long as you're a leaseholder, it means you have to atone tenancy to a landlord. That guarantees your right of ownership, guarantees your security of tenancy, and assigns you a lot of rights and privileges as a landowner. The only difference between that and the freehold or fee simple is that you enjoy those rights for a set period of time, and then you renew as and when the opportunity arises.
Right.
I mentioned earlier that state housing, one of our major duties or jobs that we do is to manage the government-acquired lands in most of our older areas. And so what we do is we manage all of the ground rent topics, all of the consents, land regularization topics, lease renewals and whatnot. We manage that on behalf of the government of Ghana for those specific areas. One of the things that we quickly found out when we took office was that state housing as a company was leaving a lot of money on the table. When you look at Greater Accra alone, as we speak, we have over 16,000 individual property owners under state housing alone.
Wow.
Not even half of them are satisfying all of their obligations. Whether it's just because they don't want to, but majority of them just don't understand what it means to be a leaseholder. And so we realized very quickly that we have to create some kind of awareness and education to the general public on what their obligations are to ensure that they're able to enjoy the ownership that they have.
Is it because they feel that, oh, well, it's the state, that the state is,
exactly.
We are the state.
Exactly. But
so
that's part of the problem.
Not even half of the 16,000 people in just Greater Accra.
If Greater Accra alone are paying everything that they're supposed to pay.
Wow.
And half of them don't even know. And you know, so one of the things we decided very early on was, look, we have to find a way to ensure that government is getting back the revenue that is supposed to get through State Housing Company. How do we do this? You have to approach it from a very humane face, first of all. You know, I always say everywhere I go that Ghanaians inherently want to do the right thing. I know there's a lot of misconception around always looking for who you know and things like that. But I've also found that going directly and trying to do the right thing often gets the same results. And Ghanaians inherently want to do this if the circumstances are right. And so when I had the discussion with my management team, with my board, every year they do some kind of promotion, but it's very quiet. You only find out when you go there to pay. So if somebody hasn't gotten up to go to the office to pay for their ground rent, they'll even find out there's a promotion going on. So we decided to do things a bit different. You know, we want to stop hiding at State House. And people pass the building and like, oh, wow, I didn't even know this was going on in here. We want to change that narrative. We want to fill that space as the leader in Ghana's housing story. And so we realized very quickly, look, we have an opportunity. It's November, December. This is the first stable year financially Ghanaians have had in the last 8 years, thanks to Honorable Atuforsen and the government.
Right.
And so rather than come and hit them with, you know, aggression and, you know, let's help sustain the gains. Let's approach it from a very humane angle and say, look, guys, we want to give you a chance to do the right thing because we know that that is your natural inclination. So we put together a small promotion. We discussed different values. You know, my finance manager will tell you that 5% is okay. I said, yes, 5% is okay, but is that really enough to motivate somebody who owes, say, 800,000 cedis in renewal values to come forward? No. 25%, that's quite a lot. You know, we don't want to start eating into even our own operational budget. So we kind of settled on 15%, which it's like giving up a little to get a lot. If we're leaving about 50% of money that is due to the company on the table, it makes sense to give something small to get the majority back. Right. I mean, this is a concept that works in all industries. And so we decided to embark on a revenue mobilization campaign, which not only focused on encouraging people who are already our tenants to come and pay, but also to marry it with a broader educational awareness campaign, which is similar to what I'm sitting here doing. Right. Previously, you wouldn't have that. But what it helps to do is people get to understand a bit more what their roles and responsibilities are as leaseholders. And we believe that with that approach, they would come up and do the right thing and help mobilize the company, because, you know, we don't get any money from Ministry of Finance. We're a non-subvented agency. Everything we do is on IGF. And so these are the monies that help us deliver more housing units. Right. And if we don't have money to deliver more housing units, we can't deliver at scale. If we cannot deliver at scale, we can't deliver at a lower cost.
So if I get you correctly,
yes,
those who owe,
yes,
and are supposed to pay,
yes,
you are giving them an incentive to pay.
To pay, absolutely.
Hey.
I know it sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? I know, but you have to understand where we are coming from.
Right.
It's a question of leaving 50% of what is due us on the table, which, because of capacity constraints, we probably will never get around to all of them. Or give up a little bit and then get the majority of your money back. That's kind of where we were stuck between, and we had to take some hard decisions to make a difference and to unlock all of the capital that government is leaving on the table so that we can use it to finance our housing agenda.
So who qualifies to get to benefit? Is it a situation of anybody who owes state housing and hears of this, and I walk into the office of the state housing and say, you know what, I understand you're running this promo and I owe for these number of years, and so does that apply to the person instantly, or there are processes the person needs to go through?
Well, yes. I mean, this is, how do I put it? It's restricted to the estate management services we provide.
Okay.
It's not to do with house sales. That's a different aspect of our business. This has to do with the estate management. So these are people who are already clients of state housing. So it covers areas like land regularization. Land regularization, we have a lot of areas where people have bought land from chiefs, built houses on them. In some cases, they've been living on for 30 years. The day their children decide that they're going to get title because maybe they want to use the house as a collateral for a fire, then they go and check the search result. It's state housing land. It wasn't the chiefs to sell to you. So they have to come and regularize with us before they can do anything on the property. So these type of people are covered, and it's a process we do on an ongoing basis. Consents. I bet a lot of people don't even know that if you want to leave your house to your little child, you have to come and seek consent from the head lease owner, which is state housing. If you even want to give it as a gift to somebody, you need consent. So all types of consents are covered. We have, obviously, the lease renewals. If your lease is up for renewal and you come, you can access that 15%, as well as all of our regular land administration charges. We also have a special group of people who have owed us for quite a while, and interest has piled up. And so now it's piled up so much, they're even afraid to come. So we want them to come in. They get a 15% discount on the total outstanding, and they can settle their bills so that they can enjoy their houses in peace. Now, I mentioned that it's a carrot and stick approach. This is the carrot.
Right.
Once 31st December passes, we've left the carrot phase. We're going into the stick approach.
So it's from now to the end of the year?
It's from November. So we started this on the 3rd of November, and it's for a 2-month period only. And it ends on December 31st.
So after December 31st, that
no more 15%.
Hey, so if you are owing, I mean, if you owe State Housing, just know that this beautiful 15% we are talking, because it might not look like much, but it's so much. If you owe $1 million, that's
it makes a difference.
50,000 Ghana cedis.
It makes a big difference.
Gone from the debt you owe.
It makes a big difference.
And it's from now to the end of the year.
Till 31st December.
1st January 2026.
Then we are on the stick approach. And we are very solidly backed by law. There's the State Housing Ejectment Act. Now, this is a last resort. I always say that we are not in the business of kicking people out of their homes. Our job is to provide homes, not to kick people out. Yes. However, when people have been educated, when people have been given incentives, and they're not responding, sometimes a little pressure has to be applied. And so starting January, we will be going after the people that owe us and are not paying. And we have a lot of legal measures available to us to be able to retrieve that money, culminating finally in eviction and re-entering the property. But like I said, that is the last resort. I'm not afraid to go into it if necessary, but we want to give people the chance to do what is right.
And I understand there's a short code as well.
Yes.
That should make things even easier for.
Well, we're making it so easy. In addition to giving 15% off, we are making so many payment models available. You know, whether you're coming into any of our offices across the country, we have offices as far as Bawah, Sunyani, everywhere we have offices you can go in. We have our hotlines that you can dial on. I'll share them with you. We have our short code that you can easily pay with Momo, *442 *1#. If you enter it, take you through the prompts, and it's very easy. We're making it easy. And I can say that very soon, in the next couple of weeks, in the next few weeks, we are launching our 24-hour premium center that will provide certain services around the clock. As you know, one of the big policy agenda for His Excellency President John Dramani Mahamad's government is the 24-hour economy.
Yes.
What does that mean? Perhaps you're here now, you're on a shift till 3 a.m. This is the only time you get to go pay what you need to pay. We are making it easier. At 3 a.m., you can find a way to pay with State Housing. We'll be open, we'll receive, we'll process your documents, we'll do what needs to be done. So once that becomes...
you are not left out of the 24-hour
Absolutely.
economy. Because there have been
Single
people who have
agency.
talked about the fact that, we saw so much said, so much noise was made, but we only heard about the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Even that one has to do with the Passport Office, Ghana Publishing, and we've not had any other agency say, you know what, we are also getting on board. You say that in the coming weeks, you should be looking forward to that.
Absolutely. We are coming on board with full force. And I know a lot of other agencies are putting things in place because an economy that runs 24 hours needs service provision that runs 24 hours a day. And so it is a responsibility on all government sector agencies to make sure that our services are available for people no matter what time their shift is, so that they can access these services on a regular basis.
And in terms of rolling out this service, what measures are you also putting in place so that maybe a service I get at 2 p.m. at State Housing when people are around will not be different entirely from the quality of service I get, say, around 2 a.m.?
You know, the beauty of it is this project is being spearheaded by my very able Deputy Managing Director. And I tell you, that man is an amazing administrator. Okay. And the training he has put in place, the trainings he's run with the team that's running the center. And the beauty of it is there is a representative from every department in State Housing who is part of the 24-hour center. So the same, it's not like we went and picked some national service people or something and put them there that, okay, if someone comes at 2 a.m., you take all their details. Tomorrow, then you give it to the estate management office. No. When you come, there's somebody from estate management there. there's somebody from sales, there's somebody to provide that service. So you get the same level of service. And there's a service charter that I know he's monitoring every day. I mean, trust me, you get the same service at 5 a.m., 4 a.m. as you get at 2 p.m. And that we can guarantee.
Well, we'll also be monitoring because I'm very interested in getting to know how that really turns out. But how does all of these initiatives, this drive to even incentivize people to pay what they owe? Ordinarily, you just crack the whip on these people because they've defaulted. They signed contracts and they've defaulted. But then you've decided to give them some leverage as well, giving them leeway. 15% discounts, pay, and then let's regularize whatever agreements State Housing has with you. There's been arguments and accusations that the reason why State Housing is not able to go after these people is because they are politically connected.
I don't know about that. Perhaps it's something that is yet to reach my attention. The funny or the interesting thing is that since I've been in office, at least people that are connected to my party are all paying what they need to pay. And I haven't seen any issues actually from majority of politicians. Actually, when it comes to properties and ownership, politicians are actually quite quick to pay because they don't want any noise around it. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say that political connection plays a big role in what we are doing. Who is more connected than a state-owned agency? State Housing is a state-owned agency. So if you are politically connected, we are the government. So if we are coming after you, pay and then we'll leave it as is. You know, I don't believe that political connections will color what we do. And I know that the president holds all of his appointees to a very, very high standard. I kid you not. It's a very, very high standard. The code of conduct is on my desk because I want to be sure that I don't fall foul because I know him. He will not hesitate to crack the whip on anybody.
So for those who say that comment he made, that whoever introduces any form of scandal will be hanged, people say, it's just rhetoric.
Those of us who are close to him know that it's not rhetoric. He's not in the habit of making empty threats. And rest assured, it doesn't matter who you are. If you do the wrong thing, he will not hesitate to crack the whip. And then later on, when you come and say, oh, really, it's you? Oh, no. But, we've already done it. So you, next time, he's a politician at heart. So he'll manage you, but the hard decisions, he doesn't hesitate to take them.
Right.
At all.
Right.
Absolutely.
Interesting. And then, again, the people feel out there that, the ordinary Ghanaian cannot get to benefit from what State Housing provides because, don't mind them, politicians, they are only giving it out to people belonging to their party and political parties. And so the ordinary Ghanaian cannot get access to your services. Is that the case?
I think that was the case, but it's not the case anymore. And one way to break this kind of perception is to shine a bright light like you have in your studios on our operations. I am sitting here and making statements. Anybody can quote me on any day. I've been on radio stations, other TV networks. We are very forward-facing today as an organization because we operate in a marketplace that is very forward-facing. The real estate industry is very forward-facing to customers. And we are joining that fray. We are not hiding behind any shadows or weird documents or weird processes. We are a real estate development company owned by the government. So we operate along the tenets of the industry. And so there's no secrecy to what we do. If you walked up to me today and you satisfied the conditions for buying a house, I have no reason to hold out on you. I come from a very commercially minded background, and I don't believe that there is a place for political coloration in terms of accessing housing. It's such a basic need that it doesn't do any service to anybody to shroud it in such mystery. So, as you know, my team, we are very vocal. Like I said, even in previous times, such a discount, you only find out when you come to the office. But today, we are taking it out to the general public. We want you to know what we are doing. We want you to know why we are there. We want you to know what we can do for you as a population. And we want you to test us. And then we will be able to deliver. Everything has challenges, and we work through them. But one of the things that I've found out since I've been there, so many people have had business with State Housing for many years. And the first time they entered the MD's office is when I was MD. And they come in, oh, you know what? I've never been in this place before.
But they've been having
I've been trying
with...
to meet the MD for 6 months, 7 years. I've never been able to meet him. This is the first time I'm entering. Even some staff in the company, this is the first time they're entering the MD's office, which I find very unusual because I come from private sector where open door policies are a basic fundamental practice in terms of how we run business. And so we run a very open book. We don't hide anything. Our processes are very clear. Our terms, conditions, fees, everything is very clearly laid out, sanctioned by the board. So there's no motivation to hide it in any way. So
how cumbersome or difficult are the processes for people who want to do business with State Housing?
You know, the company started from a long way. We started under ordinance as the Gold Coast Housing Corporation. This was in 1956. We're turning 70 next year, by the way. It's a big deal. Watch out for it. So, and it started purely as the construction arm of the government.
The government,
back then. It's gone through quite a lot of transitions. So, we do still have some remnants of being a purely government agency that we need to work through. It's a work in progress. But I can say that over the last couple of years, and even this year especially, we've done a lot of simplification of our operations. Just right now, we are finalizing new standard operating procedures for all departments, which will cut down the bureaucracy by a lot, staying still within the law, which is very important.
Right.
But cutting down a lot of the red tape that makes us less agile in a market that, you know, is driven by first to the scene, first to customer kind of feeling. So yes, we're working to simplify. We're not there yet, but that's why we're in a job. Right. If it could be done in a day, they won't need any of us. So we're working towards that.
Okay. Joe, so in the next 3 to 4 years, where do you want to position State Housing?
I want to demonstrate, because 4 years is not a lot of time. In real estate, it's not that much time. But if after 4 years, 3 years now, I'm out of the job or moved on or whatever it is, I want to be able to show that it's possible to scale housing delivery in Ghana. And we're doing that in a number of ways. I've already spoken about improving access through our mortgage desk, simplifying our pricing structure, you know, making our services more efficient and faster. One of the biggest topics we are trying to demonstrate is what we call the urban redevelopment.
Okay.
It's not a new concept. It's been on the table since Mills, since GHOne. It's been, I know for the president, it's a very, very major policy that he wants seen achieved. What I've realized is that the previous managers tried to make it a big event, like we go to Kanda, we take all of the Kanda flats, we want to redevelop the whole area. You get a lot of resistance because people have a lot of distrust for things like that and they're not sure what happens to them after. So what I am doing different is to show a proof of concept. So we're taking units that are already certified as uninhabitable, and we're pulling those down first and redeveloping them into more modern vertical places where our existing legal leaseholders will have first option to relocate to before we start touching the others. If I'm able to leave the company with this, then it shows that if you go about it this way, making sure that relocation blocks are done before you start asking people to move, then it can be achieved. The second thing is in terms of cost of construction, being able to deliver housing at a certain price. I've been working a lot with a lot of partners to try to find a mix that kind of delivers decent housing but a way cheaper cost. It's not an easy battle, but one of the things I'm also trying to do is to be able to deliver some housing projects at scale within a very short time, but also very affordable for Ghanaians. Quite a lot of Ghanaians that can buy, but if the cost is not right, then you're pricing them out of the market. So if you ask me in 3-4 years what I want to do, show that the urban redevelopment works, and then deliver housing at scale, whether it's in conjunction with the private sector or through state support. My president is watching. I'm hoping for some of that big push money because I have a lot of very interesting projects for it. Yes, so that's where I want to be.
I know earlier you mentioned that you are seeking to make a case for that big push money to be redirected as well to your sector. But are there projects that are currently ongoing that
Absolutely.
State Housing is currently embarking on?
Absolutely. We have a number of projects ongoing. We have our GHOne development in Amrahia, which is around 196 single-family homes and terrace houses. That's ongoing. We are maybe 70% complete on that. We're hoping to have it ready for occupation in total by second quarter next year. We have quite some big apartment developments in Adenta. We have apartment developments in Kaneshi. We have a number of projects going on in Kumasi, in Tamale, in Ho, in Takoradi, Koforidia. We have a lot of projects going on. People just need to contact our sales team, go on our website. We have a lot going on. And we have a lot of projects in the pipeline as well. Some years ago, Otumfor, His Royal Majesty gave State Housing some land in the Deswa, which has been lying fallow for a number of years. We're very actively working to develop large-scale housing development in partnership with some private sector partners. So we're optimistic that we can deliver quite a lot in the short time that we have to show that it's possible to aspire to, the likes of Singapore, where you have over 80% home ownership and stuff like that.
So people need to just visit your offices or go.
Bring the money so that we'll get more to invest.
Star 442 star 1 hash, right?
Yes, star 442 star 1 hash.
I don't owe State Housing, but I've been able to memorize the short
Absolutely.
code. It means that you also need to quickly memorize it and then put it to use so that at least while we are complaining about the housing deficit, we are also making sure we are fulfilling our obligations to State Housing so that we can see more of these affordable housing projects shooting up to be able, so that more young people can have decent homes. And then, because some people are not marrying because they say they cannot afford homes. Once the homes are there, they'll be able to marry. But GHOne, thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that in the coming weeks as well, we'll have further conversations and then get to understand exactly what will happen after December 31 if you fail to meet the deadline, and the projects as well, how people can also get to be a part of it. But you can now go to the website of State Housing, visit their offices, speak to their salespeople, get to understand the terms and conditions so that you can also join the projects, he says, are dotted across the country. Thank you so much for being a big part of the conversation tonight. Remember, we're back same time next week, God willing, here on GH1 Television. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Good night.